YouTube. We're back. We're so back. Okay. I know it's been a minute. Okay. A lot has been going on in my personal life, in the world, but we're back just in time for the NFL draft. We made it, people. We've made it to the draft. We are slowly getting back to our normalcy. Football. We are so back. Okay. And since the combine, even with everything going on, I've been locked in to putting together pieces of puzzles, trying to figure out, okay, well, this team did this, so they're probably looking at this in their first round. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to have a 100% accurate mock draft right here. All right, I lied. I'm probably not going to have 100%, but I am 90% confident. 90% confident this is what's going to happen. If you're new here, this is the Fumble Pod. I am your host, Dalton Lee. And let's just jump right on into it because we do have 32 picks to go through. And some picks we're going to spend a little more time on than others. Some we're not. Just like this first pick. First pick, it's a given. It's the best quarterback in the draft. And really the only one that grades at a first round level. Fernando Mendoza. I mean, I think we've known it since he won a national championship and we knew who had the first pick. We knew, okay, that's where Fernando's going. I think it's going to be a great fit. He likes to get the ball out quick. Gary Kubiak is going to work wonders with him. I see that pick working, I would say very well, but to an extent, I still have to see entirely what the Raiders are going to look like. We've seen what he did with Sam Darnold. Kubiak we're talking about here. Fernando is, maybe doesn't have as good of an arm, but his accuracy's there, his timing. The reads, I question. I question how well he can read a defense, but again, these guys know more than me. I just watch them play ball. So, in my opinion, the draft doesn't really start at pick 1 this year, at least, just because we know who's going number 1. To me, it starts at pick 2. And at pick 2, there's really been 2 names going up here for the Jets. It's been Arvell Reese and David Bailey. And in this world, the world I think we're going to live in about 26, 27 hours, it's going to be David Bailey. It's going to be David Bailey because of the fact he is a pure pass rusher. Arvell Reese is being listed as an edge, but he can do a little off ball. But the issue with him is he doesn't do 100% of the time. It's like a mix match. But he rushes the passer, but he doesn't do it 100% of the time. He does about 50. And he plays off ball, but he only does that about 50 versus, say, a pure edge that can drop back that's doing more rushing about 80 to 90% of the time, but drops back the 10 to 20. Or an off ball linebacker, like his teammate who will be going in the first round, Sonny Styles, who plays off ball probably 70 to 80% of the time, but can rush the passer. So we just don't know what Reese is going to do. And this isn't me knocking him at all. I just think with his talent and his speed, he would for sure be the second overall pick if he just put his hand in dirt more times. If he just said he needed somebody in his life to look at him and go, hey, you're going to put your hand in dirt, you're going to line up in the 5 to 7 tag, and you're just going to go get after it. He would be the second overall pick. But just because we don't really know how well his skill set is going to translate to the NFL, I don't think you can take him second overall. Now, his athleticism will absolutely translate. He is a freak athlete. Freak athlete. But I do think they're going to look at David Bailey, who is strictly known for playing edge, pass rush, getting into the backfield, and go, we need a guy that can do that day one. They have no real pass rushers. Their D-line is kind of abysmal at the moment. They're going to look at it. Aaron Glenn's going to be like, I need somebody who can get after the passer. In hopes that they can force the quarterback to get the ball off quick so they can finally get an interception. They haven't done that yet. under Aaron Glenn, who is a defensive guy. Still blows my mind that's a real stat. Now, pick 3. Pick 3 is where things get interesting. It's the Arizona Cardinals. They have a 3rd pick. In the last, week, we've heard they like Arvell Reese here. They like Jeremiah Love here. And they like, several guys. I think it's the consensus that they do not want to pick here. I think they're hoping somebody will offer them a nice little bag to get up to number 3. I've seen the ideas floated that maybe the Cowboys give them 12 and 20 to get up there. That maybe, the Jets could take a page out of Texans a couple years ago. The only issue is if they were to trade up 3, you've already took an edge rusher. I don't know who you're taking because you're not taking Jeremiah Love at 3. You have bigger issues. And the second best quarterback should not go number 3 overall. Respectfully, like Ty Simpson, think he might do well in the NFL. He's not a number 3 pick. I'm sorry. So it's a matter of whether a team believes in Arvell Reese enough to trade up to number 3 and what the Cardinals are wanting to give up number 3. I think they're going to end up stuck with the pick. They'll have to stay. And I was 50-50. I think, honestly, we can swap 3 and 4, the 2 guys I got. I got them taking Jeremiah Love. I think the guy is, honestly, a Swiss Army knife. I think he could be this draft class version of a Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara type. Great runner, can catch out of the backfield. Honestly, if you told him to line up in the slot, he probably could have a 1,000-yard season, no problem. I think he is a Swiss Army knife. And I think with a team that might possibly take a quarterback this year, might be looking to take one in that stacked quarterback draft next year, you want somebody who can take a little pressure off the quarterback. Plus, you look at it. Look at the offense now. You'd have him. You'd have Trey McBride. You got Michael Wilson. Like you would have some decent pieces. I still think 3 is kind of high, but I just with everything going on, I think they're going to go Jeremiah Love, which would then mean at pick 4 it's going to be Arvell Reese going to the Titans, who I think could, out of everybody, trade up for number 3. There's a world where they move up a spot and maybe give up a 3rd. And I think the Cardinals would take it. Because then, if, let's say, they trade up and they take Arvell Reese at 3. Okay, you can still take Jeremiah Love at 4. Or vice versa. They trade up and take Jeremiah Love at 3. Okay, you take Arvell Reese. But I think the Titans are going to look at this and be like, all right, best player available is Arvell Reese. I wouldn't hate the idea, mainly because Cam Ward's second year, if they went and got a Cornell Tate. I don't think 4 is too high for him. I think he's the best overall wide receiver in this draft class. Wouldn't hate it, but they just have so many holes, and Arvell Reese is just a freak athlete that with Robert Saleh, he is licking at the chops to get a guy like that and just teach him to do something, whether it's rush the passer, play off ball, maybe find a balance to be able to do both to a sense, and just make him a freak. But I think they're going to take Arvell Reese because Jeremiah Love's off the board. Number 5, which we didn't even talk about this. The Giants also have 2 picks in this draft class, but we'll talk about when we get to the second pick they acquired and how they got it and how I feel about that. And number 5, it's John Harbaugh, first pick being a Giant, and again, Carnell Tate is on the board here. For me, he is being considered just because it would not hurt Jackson Dart to have Malik Neighbors and Carnell Tate on that offense. Wouldn't hurt him. And you have Cam Scatterbo, who is going to have CTE by the time he's 26. But, different issue for a different day. But I think their biggest issue isn't necessarily the offense. Their defense is atrocious. Outside of their edge rushers. Their edge rushers are good. They have no linebacker help. Best way to solve that? Go get Sonny Styles at pick 5. That's who I think they take. Just because he is a true off ball linebacker who can get to the passer. You can design blitz packages for him. He'll get home and make plays. But at the same time, the way he reads the field, how athletic he is, he can make plays. And I think having a true general of your defense with edge rushers like that, that's going to solve a lot of issues. He can stop the run game. He can play the pass very well. I I, I think that's going to be a really good pick. And honestly, looking through 1 through 5, I think it's kind of the consensus group per se. Maybe throw in Carnell Tate and Ruben Bain. You could throw those 7 are going to be in the top 10 easily. It's the other 3 that everybody's been trying to figure out. At number 6, the Browns. I think they take Carnell Tate, keep the kid at home. I think whoever they throw at quarterback out there, whether it is Deshaun Watson or Shador Sanders, you got to give him a weapon. Harold Fannin Jr. is great. I think he's going to have a great next year for sure. He had a really good one this year. I think he's going to only get better. But you still got to find a way to take a little defensive pressure off him. Best way to do that, go get a guy like Carnell Tate. That guy is one of the purest pass catchers in this class. Almost kind of reminds me of style-ish of Marvin Harrison Jr. Not quite as good of a route runner, but he just gets open. I think he's a little faster. Great hands. At this point, you can't really go wrong with drafting Ohio State wide receivers. They got a pretty good track record over the last 10 years. Could probably go a little further back if we want to include Michael Thomas in that list. I think Carnell Tate's going to be a great pick right there for him. Granted, I think Shador should start. I just want to throw that out there just because I just don't know what you do with that quarterback room. But I don't think this is the draft class to fix the quarterback room. Unless you're the Raiders. That's just my 2 cents. But at the end of the day, what do I know? Then we get number 7. The Commanders, right? They've had an interesting offseason. Added a couple pieces, lost a couple pieces. Their biggest issue still is edge rusher. And a guy that is, a freak athlete, had a really good year to help take his team to the national championship. I mean, he's sitting right there. Problem is, T-Rex arms. I don't think that's really going to matter that much. Just because of his raw athleticism, his raw power. And I think once he gets going, he's a high motor guy. He's just going to roll right through. I think you can figure out a way to make it work. I'm going with Ruben Bain. I think he's just right now the best available defensive end. I think had his arms maybe been a couple inches longer, he's probably the first edge taken off this board. But, to some people, size matters. Let me not. Then we get number 8. Mansour Delane, okay? He's going to the Saints. I said that backwards. I think they're going to keep the hometown kid at home in New Orleans. They need DB help, especially because they just need a lot of help on defense. I could see them potentially reaching for an edge here, but, the best edge available would be Keldrick Falk. I think you don't use the number 8 pick on him. Mansour Delane is looking like the best corner in this class. He had a really good year at LSU. He's been a solid guy in college. I think it just makes sense you keep a Bayou Tiger at home. They really love their Bayou guys out there. And you roll with that. Number 9, at number 9, the Chiefs. Early on, this is where a lot of people thought maybe Jeremiah Love goes. Give Patrick Mahomes a weapon. Some people have thought they could take an edge rusher here, even though you've had your upper-ish tier of edge rushers go. I think it's still too early for a safety. I think the number one thing you have to prioritize is keeping your franchise guy upright. The main reason the Chiefs fell apart last year and the year prior in the Super Bowl, the reason why they lost, could not keep Patrick Mahomes upright. It's a big deal. You can keep Patrick up, you have a chance. Yes, you still need great weapons, but it doesn't matter if you have great weapons and then a bad offensive line. At some point, the bill's going to come due. We saw it with that Bengals team with Joe Burrow. Had all the weapons in the world. Defense wasn't half bad. But when it was time to make plays, Aaron Donald was able to just wreck through that toilet paper of a line. I think they take Francis Mwaga, who I think is the best tackle in this class. You take him, you plug him in. You hit on a left tackle last year. Now you're going to go get your right tackle. Protect the edges. You can build offensive line, in my opinion, from the outside in, except center. I would make sure, which they already have. They have Creed Humphrey in the middle. You hit on a rookie tackle last year in the second round, Josh Simmons, who would have been a first rounder had it not been, I think, some injuries. If you hit on Francis Mwaga, 3/5 of your line is, in theory, taken care of. You can manage that, especially with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Them three should be able to make up for the other two. Not saying you should put nobodies at your guard spots, but if you hit on tackles in a center, your offensive line is taken care of. And I think they're going to do that with Mwaga. Now we're at pick 10, and the Giants are back on the board. And the reason why the Giants are back on the board is because they made a trade middle to late of last week. They traded Dexter Lawrence, who said he wanted to trade. He did not want to be there. He wanted a pay raise. And the Giants didn't want to give him a pay raise. I think they realized he's coming off of a season where he had, I think, half a sack. Was injury riddled a little bit. Team didn't have a good year. He as he said, he wanted to go somewhere where he felt he was wanted. So they dealt him to the Bengals for 10th overall pick. And I think maybe a later pick swap. And then they turned around and gave him a 1-year, $28 million contract, which is a lot of money for a guy who's coming off a season where he had half a sack. But who do I know? I mean, I know a lot of people. What do I know? I don't know. In all, I think it was a good trade for the Bengals because you need help on defense. So if you make this trade and it hits for at least a year or two, it puts you in a realm of contention, good. But for the Giants, I think this is a really good move. Now you acquired assets. Now you get to use them. And at number 10, there's been talks that they really like Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson is still available. But I can see them taking him here. I like Malachi Lemon better at this spot. I think he's a better athlete, had a better year, better hands, and he, I think, is just your cheaper Wan'Dale Robinson replacement who had 1,000 yards last year. So now you can have a Malachi Lemon with Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart. That can be your big three for the next 5 to 10 years. That's going to put a lot of relief in your offense, to say the least. Is how I'm looking at it. We get to pick 11. Dolphins. They spent big money in free agency on a quarterback. Got to keep him upright. Spencer Fanu, arguably tied for first best tackle in this class, right out of Utah. It wouldn't shock me if Spencer Fanu went before Mwaga or vice versa. It's strictly based off of how you want to build your offensive line and who'd you like better. I think both are damn good at the position, and I think both will make impacts immediately. Spencer Fanu is going to go in and help a Dolphins team that has really never had a good offensive line. So now you put offensive line together. You got Malik Willis. You can add some pieces around that and maybe make it functional. I don't know what version of Malik Willis we're going to get, but only time will tell. Your best bet is to just give him a chance. Best way to do it, get a left tackle. Get somebody to protect him. And I got a buddy here. He likes the Cowboys. They're on the clock at 12. And he would be jumping up and down if this happens tomorrow because at number 12, arguably the best player available, could have went a pick or two before. Caleb Downs at 12. And I think the only reason he drops to 12 is just because I think a lot of these other teams would look at bigger needs before safety. Whereas the Cowboys, their needs are defense. Straight up just defense. Best available defender, Caleb Downs. Yeah. Yeah, I think they can make that work. That guy can play in the box. He can play deep third. He's got good speed, great vision for the quarterback. I think that would be a home run hit, and I think that sells tickets. Just because of we've seen what he's done at Ohio State. Jerry's going to go get another big name guy. We get 13, the Rams, okay? This Rams pick is very interesting. I could see them trading back, maybe trying to acquire maybe a little more asset. But they're in quite a predicament right now, okay? There were talks of trading Devontae, which haven't heard a whole lot about since. Puka Nacua, I think about 2 weeks ago, checked into rehab. I'm assuming for a form of substance abuse. I believe the reports were saying alcohol. So they got that going on. Right now, I think the best receiver on their roster is Van Jefferson. I'm sorry. He cannot be your wide receiver too. I'm sorry. So what are they going to do? Probably stick and pick a wide receiver. And they're going to get Jordan Tyson here. Just an all-around guy, can make plays. And, I mean, in a system with Sean McVay calling plays, I think anybody would really work. But I think Jordan Tyson just gives them kind of a more all-around game versus maybe a guy like Casey Concepcion, who's going to be more of a burner, over-the-top guy. Jordan Tyson can do a little bit more of everything. Help Stafford, who just won MVP, just got an extension. And then in a world where everything goes right, you'd have Jordan Tyson be your third best wide receiver behind Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, if all things work out. Then we get to pick 14, the Ravens. And a lot of people are not going to like this pick. I think their biggest need is cornerback. Strictly because just look at the division. Pittsburgh now has DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. The Bengals still have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The Browns will, in theory, have Carnell Tate, which who knows how he plays in the pros. I think he'll be very good. You got to be able to stop those guys. And a big reason why you were so bad last year was because of your defense. Some of your corners are getting a little old. They're a little pricey. It's time to start replacing them. And I feel like the Ravens have always been really good at drafting defensive talent. Regardless who's been the head coach, the GM, they've always been really good at it. And I think they're going to kind of take a flyer here. When healthy, he's really good. He's coming off of an injury. Jermon McCoy from Tennessee. I think that's who they're going to take. I think he's going to fit the style of play they like. He's a pretty good tackler. Decent build. I think he's like 6 foot, 190, 200-ish. I think he's going to be really good in Baltimore. I think, of course, Lamar would like a receiver here, but a lot of your upper tier wide receivers are gone. Your next best is, Casey Concepcion, which, again, is just almost like another version of Hollywood Brown, and we saw how that worked in Baltimore. You just build up the defense. Lamar and Derrick Henry can do enough. 15, the Bucks. I think their biggest need is edge rusher. They got good enough wide receivers. You got Baker Mayfield. Your offensive line's pretty good. You need an edge rusher. Your D-line is getting very old. Best available edge rusher, Keldrick Falk. And he's a big guy. Big guy. I think he's going right next to Vita Vea. I don't know who's running the ball on him. You're not going to be able to. His pass rushing can be a little hit or miss according to his numbers. But if you look at him, he gets home. He was dealing with a lot of double teams in Auburn. He was the best defensive lineman there. But I think just because of his big ass, he's like 6'6", 280. He's a big guy. Putting him next to Vita Vea, good luck trying to move that. They've picked up some decent linebackers in free agency. They got good safeties. It's just you. It's just going to be a nightmare trying to block that. Remember that. It's going to be a nightmare. Then we get to Jets, picking 16. This is the Colts pick that they got for trading away Sauce Gardner. And at this point, there's not, again, I don't necessarily think this is the realm of Ty Simpson. It might be, but I think they're going to try and hold out for a quarterback next year. So what do? You've already got D-line help. Get you some O-line help. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Again, another big guy. Super strong. Has always played very good at Georgia. Georgia has a decent track record of turning out offense linemen. It's not as good as turning out defense linemen, but they got a good track record. They put out their big guys. I like Monroe Freeling. I think he'll be a very good fit in New York, protecting whoever is going to throw the football. Whoever it's going to be. And then at 17, the Lions, I have them kind of following suit. Caleb Lomu from Utah played the other side with Fanu. Utah had some really good tackles. I think they led the country in least amount of sacks allowed for a very good reason. Their two tackles were phenomenal. I think they're going to go and get either they'll play Caleb at right and move Penei Sewell to left, or they're going to try Caleb at left, see if he can hold his own and let Penei stay at right. But again, if you hit on your tackles with all the weapons they got in Detroit, they'll be right back to averaging 35 plus. The defense is still going to need a little help, but they've had decent free agency. And luckily, there are 6 more rounds of drafts where they can pick up a little more talent. Then we get to Minnesota, which this is kind of the consensus pick. They're going to take Dylan Thiemann from Oregon. Old white boy out there playing safety. His comp literally is Harrison Smith, who spent his entire career in Minnesota. So if he can turn around and be just as good as Harrison Smith, they would be very happy with that. And then we get to pick 19, the Carolina Panthers on the board. I do think with the way this draft class has fallen a little bit, that there are a couple guys here that they could take. But they're in a spot where they could take a tackle. They could take anything, really. I'm not saying they don't have positions in need, but they don't have to reach on a position in need where they're at. And they have this freak of an athlete just sitting in their lap. That's right. I'm talking about Kenyon Sadiq. I think Kenyon Sadiq would be phenomenal for the Panthers offense. You just had Rookie of the Year, Teteroa McMillan. You got Bryce Young going into his 4th year. You got Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. You got A.J. Dillon in the backfield. Your tight ends are right now solid between Tommy Tremble, J.T. Sanders, and Mitchell Evans. But Kenyon Sadiq can do it all. He can run block. He can throw a little chip block in the passing game. But when you throw him the ball, that's when you see the raw athleticism. 6'3", 245. I've seen him hurdle guys on national television. He can stiff arm. Good pass catcher. I just think another weapon to help Bryce in that offense move the chains. I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts at all. And then we get to pick 20. Starting to come down the home stretch a little. It's Dallas again. What do they need? I hope you said defense. They've already taken a safety. They got a defensive end sitting in their lap. Hakeem Mesidor. And I know everybody's going to be like, whoa, now. You're telling me you like Falk over Mesidor? I think they're both about the same. I just think Mesidor had a little more help having Ruben Bain opposite of him taking some of the pressure off. And Messidor is a little older, so you're drafting him more so in hopes that in year one he can get you double-digit sacks. In Dallas at pick 20, that's what they're hoping for, is to immediately draft a guy that can get them 10-ish or more sacks. And if he can do that and Caleb Downs does what he does defensively, your defense flips the script. Because you'll have him and Quentin Williams on that D-line. That can make a good conversation for maybe the Cowboys being back. Now, what we define as being back could be back in the playoffs, losing the first round. Maybe. I don't know. But I think Messidor would be the pick here for sure. And then now is when we get to our run of the big boys. Not sponsored. I just love my cup. So we'll kind of fly through this a little. At pick 21, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting Iona from Penn State, the big old guard. I think they're just going to try and shore up that offensive line for whoever's going to play quarterback over there, whether it's Mason Rudolph, if Aaron comes out of his little ayahuasca cave, or maybe they draft a guy in the second or third round. I think it's just going to be very helpful. They like to run the ball, especially up there. It gets cold. He's a big guy. He can move bodies. That'll help. It'll open up play action game to get your two valuable wide receivers that you have involved. Pick 22, Jim Harbaugh, man. He loves his big boys. And what was their biggest issue last year? Their defense was a little at times. I got him taking Peter Woods, putting him on the inside. I know last year Clemson had a down year, but he is still just a freak at the D tackle spot. He moves very well. He's big. He's got raw power. I just think Jim Harbaugh is going to look at that and be like, yeah, I want that guy playing defense for me. So I got him taking Peter Woods. Can't stand Clemson. And then the Eagles, 23. They got to address that offensive line. Lane Johnson's only getting older. They were kind of banged up last year. I got him taking Caden Proctor. I think he had a really good year at Alabama. I think this is a really good class for offensive talent, mainly tackle. And I think Caden Proctor is going to slide right on in. Even if he doesn't have to start right away, he can learn from Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, just learn how to play the position at an elite level. And Philly's always been really good at... I always feel like Philly's always been good at drafting a position like a year earlier than they need to. Like, I remember when they went back-to-back with D tackles, it's like, okay, you just got Jordan Davis, and now you're going to turn around and draft another D tackle from Georgia who were teammates, and now they arguably have the best D tackle combo in the league. I think they're going to kind of do the same thing with offensive line. It's easier to pay your stars premium money when you keep everything else cheap, and it actually produces talent. Howie Roseman just has a crystal ball, man. He's sitting in his little cave with his little magic glass ball, and he's like, what do we got here? I think it's gonna be Caden Proctor. I think that's gonna be their pick, and everybody's gonna be like, yep, they got a tackle. And I think Cleveland turns around and also takes a tackle. Blake Miller, Clemson. I just think you might as well double dip in offense. Your defense is very good. You really need help offensively. You got to get ready for some form of quarterback play, whether it's this year or you go get somebody next year. Best way to handle it, get them a number one, give them a left tackle. Then you'll have a lot of quarterbacks being like, well, I got a guy. I got a left tackle. We can make some things work. We get to the Bears. And the Bears could use a little help defensively, but I feel like they have a big hole to fill on offense after they traded DJ Moore away to the Buffalo Bills. So I think they're going to go and kind of get his replacement. And I think this pick and the very next pick, you could switch to two. I got them taking Casey Concepcion. I think another field stretcher. I think he was just raw, raw speed. Had a very good year at A&M last year. I just think the way they want to run their offense, the more space you have, the better it is. Plus, they also love the big plays. Ben Johnson has always been a big play guy. This is another big play guy written all over. And immediately after, you got the Bills taking Omar Cooper Jr. Could be a little high. I wouldn't disagree with you, but they got DJ Moore. Khalil Shakir is going to probably play the slot. You need some type of big body outside. We don't know what's going to happen with Keon Coleman. Might as well take a flyer on Omar Cooper. Had a very good year with Fernando Mendoza. Was a big body guy. Loved to catch back shoulder fades. I think Josh Allen can throw those very well. Give it a shot. Why not? He's an older guy, so he should be ready to come in and produce right away. Then at pick 27, we got the San Francisco 49ers on the board. And I know they just extended Trent Williams. The rest of the offensive line's kind of bad. And Trent Williams getting kind of old. I got them also taking a tackle. I got them taking out of Arizona State, Max Ehanchor. To be honest, I'm not 100%. I've heard like 7 different pronunciations, so if I'm butchering it, I'm sorry. But he's a big old guy from Arizona State. He's been there a couple years. And I think if he can learn from Trent Williams, he'll be really solid. They'll probably stick him on the right side, let Trent continue to hold down the left, and we just roll with it. And then in Texas, got Texans on the board. And I don't think this is necessarily their biggest need, but it's D'Amico Ryans. We know what he likes to take. There's not a whole lot of offensive tackle talent that's a first round worthy. Go get Caden McDonald. The guy is just a true stud from Ohio State. Was there the last couple years, helped lead, I think, back-to-back number 1 defenses in the country. He gets after it. I think putting him next to Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt at all. And if you can have depth anywhere, it needs to be a D-line. Never hurts to have depth. Guys get tired. Guys get banged up. Just throw him right on in, put him to work, see what he can do. And then Chiefs back on the board from trading Trent McDuffie to the Rams. So this is the Rams pick. And I have them getting Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Toledo safety. This was a guy that I considered to go multiple other spots. I considered him going as high as 19 back to the Panthers, or possibly to Pittsburgh or the Chargers. But I think a lot of teams are going to kind of address the bigger needs first. And I think a lot of people look at guys from somewhat smaller schools and get hesitant. I mean, he is from Toledo. He didn't play against, he wasn't a Buckeye and played against Michigan and all these other great teams. But we see what happened with Keon Mitchell when he was drafted out of Toledo. I think it's going to be a similar thing. He's a big range roamy safety. And I think Steve Spagnuolo will be ecstatic knowing that they got another safety that he can play anywhere on the field and make plays. At pick 30, the Dolphins have already drafted offensive line. I think they're going to address defensive line. I think they're going to take Zion Young out of Missouri. A really just lengthy, athletic guy. Just hoping he can turn into a pure pass rusher. He was decent at Missouri. They just need somebody to... Their goals coming into the first round was get somebody to keep our quarterback comfortable and get somebody who can make the other team's quarterback uncomfortable. And I think he has the necessary physical tools to make that happen. He doesn't really have a consistent pass rush move, but that's something you can teach. The raw gifts, he already has. So he might be a little bit of a project, but never hurts to take a chance on guys like that. And I'm honestly really upset with myself that I got to this point. I picked 31 for the Patriots. I think their defense was a little fraudulent last year, especially at the linebacker spot. And the best off-ball linebacker, in my opinion, available is Jacob Rodriguez. I think the guy just sees the game differently. He kind of knows what's coming before it happens. He has a knack for getting after the ball, whether it's in the air, punching it out, for some fumbles. I think that is a Mike Vrabel guy. So I think they're going to roll with Jacob Rodriguez, an older guy that's ready to play and play big time going into this. And then pick 32, I saw somebody suggest an idea that this team would trade up to number 3 to get a running back, but I think they're just going to sit and either trade out of the first round or take Jeremiah Love's backup, Jadarian Price, not Prince, Jadarian Price, who is also really good. It's just outside of Jeremiah Love, this isn't really a super deep running back class, but we say this several times, and then other teams always find production later on. And I think even though running back isn't necessarily the biggest need, I think even if you say Charbonnet is going to start, but we're going to draft a young guy to get reps, see how he produces, never hurts. And I think Seattle has a blueprint on how they want to play football and win games. So I think Jadarian Price would be a good pick for him. That's all I got for you guys. I mean, we kind of flew through that, hit on all the points we wanted to, and got right to it. We had a lot to cover. I will do a video post first round. I don't think I'm gonna touch a whole lot on the second round unless something crazy happens and somebody drops out of the first round who we kind of thought was gonna be in it. But I am ecstatic to see how this goes. It's one of my favorite times of the year because once we know the draft's here, we can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel get a little bigger. We've started OTAs. Next, then we got actual training camp, and then it's like, okay, we're actually getting ready for the season. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the notification button, let you know when we're posting more content. If you've been around for a minute, like the video, share it with a friend. Drop it down below, a pick you want your team to make. And let's try and be a little realistic around here. But until next time, deuces.